Hi. Remember in a previous video I talked about 5 things you need to add to your CV to make it always appealing and stand out to recruiters like myself. Now in this video I'm talking about 5 things you do not need to add to your CV because they are no longer needed or necessary. Do you understand that? The first thing I'm talking about is your full residential address. You need to be security conscious in this world that we actually live in right now. Your full address is no longer required. If a recruiter or if an employer of labor needs your full address, when you get on the job, there will be a request for that. Or even if they're working on your contract like I do, right? Then they're going to request for it personally. You don't know who's going to get it, who's going to come in contact with your CV, or whose hand is going to pass through. And you don't know what intentions those people might have. So do away with your your full residential address. The second thing I want to talk about is your date of birth. You do not need that. And sometimes it is even to your own advantage. Sometimes you are a bit older than the role, but you are qualified for the role. Sometimes you never can tell what's going to happen in that process unless categorically requested for. That's why you need to add that to it. But most times in an application form, you can always impute all the details that are required for that job. But on your CV, please do away with your date of birth. The third thing I'll talk about is your gender. Or like I also said, unless categorically requested, you do not need to add your gender. Some roles are gender neutral, meaning both a male or a female can get it done. You don't want to play to the bias of the recruiter by adding your gender. Although sometimes by your names, the recruiter might be able to pick out if the person is a male or a female. But you want to make the work difficult for the recruiter like myself, right? The fourth thing is your nationality and state of origin. Especially if you're applying for a local job, right, or maybe a job within the country, you do not need to add your state of origin. Those things are no longer seen as a requirement by most recruiters when you're applying for a job. Nobody cares about where you come from as long as you are able to deliver on the job. And the fifth thing I'm talking about is your references. I see this all the time on most CVs. When you come to the reference part, you see available on request. Please do away with that. When you come on board and I have employed you and I need to do a reference check, then I would ask you personally to provide your references, and at that point I can do your reference check. So please do, especially because sometimes you even need extra space on your CV to make sure that your CV is within 1 page or 2 pages, right? So you need to do away with your references. They are no longer needed. And don't forget also too, you don't want to put your references at risk. Some people always have the full names, where the place of work of the reference, the phone number, and the email address. Sometimes some of those things are personally identifiable information for the references, and you don't want to jeopardize them in any way. So please, these are the 5 things I want to encourage you to take away from your CVs, because they do not have any impact or any effect on whether you get called for that interview or whether your CV scales through an applicant tracking system. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. See you again.